Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today we're doing a Magnet Warrior deck profile. So I'm really excited to see you guys because this deck has changed up a lot recently, especially with the release of Epsilon the Magnet Warrior, which has helped out this deck a lot. I'm really excited to show you guys all the changes that I made to this deck, so without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon on the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name in the description of a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron, along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Epsilon the Magnet Warrior. This card is absolutely insane and helps out this deck so much because it has the ability, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can send a level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior monster from your deck to the graveyard, except another copy of itself. And then this card's name becomes the sent monster's name until the end phase. Then you can special summon out a Magnet Warrior or Magna Warrior monster from your graveyard with a different name than the cards that you control, and you can only use each effect of this card once per turn. This card is an extremely powerful card and helps out this deck a lot. We're then going to be playing 3 copies of Delta the Magnet Warrior. This card is a really good 3-of as well because it has the ability that if this card is normal or special summon, you can send a level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior monster from your deck to the graveyard. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish up to 3 level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior monsters from your graveyard, except Delta the Magnet Warrior, to special summon a Valkyrian the Magna Warrior from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions, which is really amazing that you can summon Valkyrian in this deck. We then play 3 copies of Alpha the Electromagnetic Warrior. This card is a great 3-of because it has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a level 8 Magna Warrior monster from your deck to your hand. And you can only use this effect of Alpha the Electromagnetic Warrior once per turn. And it also has the ability that during your opponent's turn, you can tribute this card to special summon a level 4 Magnet Warrior monster from your deck. And this is a quick effect, which is a really good effect to have on this card. We then play 3 copies of Beta the Electromagnetic Warrior. This card is a great 3-of that has the ability that if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior monster from your deck to your hand, except a Beta the Electromagnetic Warrior. And you can only use effect this card once per turn, and during your opponent's turn, you contribute this card to special summon a level 4 Magnet Warrior monster from your deck, and it's a quick effect, which is again a really good effect to be able to tag this card out to go into the exact card that you need. We then play 3 copies of Gamma the Electromagnetic Warrior. I like playing 3 copies of Gamma in my build because it helps out to swarm the field. You can get away with 2 copies of this card, but I really like the 3rd copy of this card. It has the ability, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can special summon a level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior monster from your hand, except another copy of itself, and you can only use effect this card once per turn. And then during your opponent's turn, you can tribute this card to special summon out a level 4 Magnet Warrior monster from your deck, and it's a quick effect, again, just like your Alpha and Beta. We then play 2 copies of Berserkion, which is one of our insanely powerful boss monsters that is super easy to summon in this deck, especially with the release of Epsilon. It has the ability that it cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned from your hand by banishing an Alpha, Beta, and a Gamma Electromagnetic Warrior from your hand, graveyard, or face up on your side of the field. And you can banish 1 level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior monster from your graveyard to target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. And if this card is destroyed by battle, or if this card is sent to the graveyard or destroyed by an opponent's card, then you can target 1 each of your banished Alpha, Beta, and Gamma Electromagnetic Warriors and special summon them, which is a great effect to be able to tag this card back out into your copies of your Alpha, Beta, and Gamma. We then play 2 copies of Valkyrian the Magna Warrior. You want to play 2 copies of this card because it's pretty easy to summon off your copy of Delta, and you can fusion summon into your copy of your Imperium Magnum if you do draw into it, which is always a really awesome thing to be able to do. We then play 3 copies of Adamantipator Researcher. The reason I'm playing this card is because it has the ability that if you control a rock monster, you can just special summon this card to your side of the field, and with all of your electromagnetic warriors being level 3, 3, it's very easy to synchro summon into Naturia Beast with this card. It also has a really good effect to help you swarm the field, that during the main phase, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can special summon one excavated level 4 or lower non-tuner rock monster that you excavated off this card's effect, being able to special summon out any of the top row, because they're all rock monsters. We then play a single copy of Sentry Soldier of Stone. This card is really good just to be able to special summon out to your side of the field, because if all monsters that you control are rock monsters, minimum 1, while this card is in the graveyard, you can special summon this card, which is really good because every single turn you can just special summon this card to your field. We then play 2 copies of Nibiru. Nibiru is a really powerful hand trap in this deck to be able to just basically clear the entire board so you can go in for game, because it has the ability basically that when your opponent summons 5 or more times, you can send all monsters on the field to the graveyard and then give your opponent a token, and then you get Nibiru, which is a really nice thing, especially with this card being a rock monster. It's really searchable. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom as well. Ash Blossom is a really good 3-up because basically it just stops your opponent from touching the deck, which is always a great thing for any deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn is a really good card in this deck because it helps you get your cards back on the field just to extend your play so you can go in for game. We play a single copy of Foolish Burial to get the exact card that we need in the graveyard when we need it. 1 copy of Called by the Grave just to stop our opponent from Ash Blossoming us or hand trapping us, which is very important in this deck because you're going to be special summoning out or sending cards from your deck to the graveyard all the time. We then play 2 copies of Polymerization. I played 2 copies of Polymerization so I can see it in this deck, so I can summon out my copy of my Imperium Magnum, which is always a great card to be able to summon. We then play 2 copies of Adamantipator Sign. This is basically an additional copies of Monster Reborn, because it lets you target a rock monster in the graveyard and special summon it in defense position. And if you special summon an Adamantipator monster by this effect, you can take a level 4 or lower rock monster from your deck and place it on top of your deck, getting the exact monster that you need to draw into or excavate off your copy of Researcher. We then play 3 copies of Magnet Induction. This card is a great 3-up. This card helps out the deck so much to get in the exact cards that you need, because it has the ability that if you control a Magnet Warrior monster whose original level is 4 or lower, you can special summon out a level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior monster from the deck with a different name than the cards that you control. And also for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, Magnet Warrior and Magnet Warrior monsters that you control cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects, which is a great effect for this card to be able to have, to basically just be kind of like an unexpected die to give you the exact monster that you need on your side of the field by just special summoning it, which is really, really good. We then play 3 copies of Magnetic Field. Magnetic Field is a great 3-of as well in this deck because it helps you control the board with the ability that if you control a level 4 or lower Earth Rock type monster, then you can target 1 level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And you can only use effect this card once per turn, and then once per turn, at the end of the damage step, when an Earth Rock monster you control battle an opponent's monster, but the opponent's monster is not destroyed by that battle, then you can return that opponent's monster to the hand, which is a really good non-targeting removal effect that does require your monster to go into battle, but it can out a lot of really powerful monsters with this card's effect, which is why I play it as a 3-of. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. I will say one thing that I did consider about the main deck was dropping one of the polymerizations, because I do play Anaconda in the extra deck to play a Harpy's Feather Duster, so that is an option for you guys. So that's it for the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of Imperium Magnum. This card is a really powerful boss monster. It does require a Valkyrian and a Berserkion to fusion summon in this card, and it must be fusion summoned with the above fusion materials. It cannot be special summoned by other ways. And then once per turn during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a spell or trap or a monster effect, then you can negate the activation if you do destroy that card. And if this face-up card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, then you can special summon both a Valkyrian, the Magna Warrior, and Berserkion, the Electro Magna Warrior, from your hand or deck, ignoring their summoning conditions, which is a great effect for this card to be able to have. I wish it was if it was destroyed by battle, but but it's just if this card is destroyed by a card effect. We then play a single copy of Nichiria Beast. This is going to be a card that you're going to be summoning all the time with this deck. It's a really, really good card to be able to just negate spell effects, and super easy to summon because of the Adamancipator Researcher and all of our other cards being Earth. We then play a single copy of Nichiria Barkion, kind of the same thing as Beast. It's really easy to put both of these on your side of the field to basically just stop spells and then traps with your copies of Barkion, and it's really easy to be able to put multiple copies of your Researcher on the field so you can get out both of these cards on your side of the field. We then play a single copy of Gallant Granite. Gallant Granite is here because it can search any rock monster by detaching material. One copy of Baguska, just in case you need to throw this card on the field to slow down the game just a little bit so you can go into your plays. One copy of Gorgonic Guardian. This card is a great one of, especially in this particular rock deck, because it has the ability to once per turn during either player's turn detach a material from this card and then target a face-up monster your opponent controls, and its attack becomes 0, and if it does, its effects are negated. And this effect lasts until the end of the turn, and then once per turn, you can target a monster on the field with 0 attack and destroy it. Basically, this card can pop a card and negate its effects, which is a really, really good effect. We then play a single copy of Fortune Tune because it helps us go into Zeus, one copy of Downer Magician so we can have an extra material for Zeus, and then a single copy of Zeus because we can put it on the field to basically board wipe, which is always good in this deck. We then play a single copy of Access Code Talker. I did consider playing Boral Sword in this deck. If you want to go for a little bit more of a budget option, you can play Boral Sword or Boral Load. Especially with the amount of monsters that you can actually special summon to your field in this deck, it's very, very easy to make Boral Sword in this deck to go in for game, but I do like the Access Code Talker to give me those additional pops. One copy of Unicorn to spin stuff, Phoenix to pop spells and traps, Cerberus to pop monsters, IP Masquerena because it does let us go in for our Unicorn during our opponent's turn, and then finally a Predaplant Verte Anaconda for the polymerization to go in for our Imperium Magnum, which is always a really, really awesome thing for this deck to be able to do. So anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Definitely tell me what you think of this deck down in the comments down below. It's a really, really fun deck to be able to play with and super nostalgic because it can play the Valkyrie and the Magnet Warrior or Magna Warrior, which is a really, really nostalgic card. I really love that this deck is still getting support, especially with Epsilon being such a good support card for this deck. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can come part of our notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.